And we are here at Allegheny College talking some track and field as the Gators are in the midst of their spring season. We are joined today by Carter Smith, a distance runner, a junior, and Amanda Balzer, a sprinter hurdler. Guys, thanks for joining us this afternoon. And I guess we'll start with Carter. I know you're a veteran on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what brought you to Allegheny, and I guess what got you interested in the track and cross-country programs.
Okay, well, I'm from Eden Christian Academy. That's where I went to high school. I'm from Cranberry Township, just north of Pittsburgh. What really attracted me to Allegheny was because I looked all over at schools. Running was obviously on my priority list. I wanted somewhere great to run. And Allegheny had the perfect match of great academics in the field I wanted to study, as well as a great team. I visited and did an overnight. And at the other 4 schools I stayed at, the team didn't compare to Allegheny's team. The team was just so close-knit. I could just get that sense that the guys were really passionate about running and they pushed each other. And that's the atmosphere I wanted, so that's why I chose Allegheny. And I have a passion for track and field and cross country, and this is the place to be.
Amanda?
All right, I'm from Cannonsburg, Pennsylvania. I'm a graduate of Chartiers Houston High School. When I was doing my college search, I knew absolutely that I wanted to run track and field. So that was kind of also a part of what I was looking for in terms of academics and a good place to be. And when I came to Allegheny, I came 3 times. I did an overnight and I did 2 day visits. And it just felt like home. The small campus was comforting. The area, it's great for me. It's close enough to home, but far away that I don't have to worry about surprise trips from parents. And yeah, the coaching staff really is one of the main drivers as to why I came here. I felt welcomed, I felt wanted, and it was just an overall wonderful experience for a younger person coming from a small town.
Now we've talked about the track, distance, hurdles, sprints. How about academically, Amanda? What are you studying, and what do you plan to go on to after you graduate?
Sure. I'm a communications major and an econ minor. I actually have a job lined up with PNC Bank after graduation. In terms of academics, it was a struggle my first semester, but once you really just buckle down and get into the swing of things, it's doable, and it's absolutely, you're able to manage your time here with track and classes. It's easy to do. Everyone's super supportive. So, I mean, the connections that I've made here, I really think helped me get to where I wanted to be after graduation. So I'm very thankful, and this is the perfect place for that.
Carter, academically, what are you majoring in, and what do you plan to go on to after college?
I'm an economics major and a Chinese and global health studies minor. I'm a junior, so I don't quite know what exactly I'm going to be doing after school, but I'd love to go to grad school, possibly get an MBA, or stay in the area, work in Pittsburgh. I'd also be open to doing business overseas, possibly going to China, testing out my language skills.
So we talked a little bit about what brought you here. I mean, we'll look back again as you were coming into college. I know with a lot of the other sports, your basketballs, your soccers, players talk about, the transition was difficult because of the speed of some players and the size of some players. For you guys, what was it like adjusting to college track and field, to college running, as opposed to high school? How can you compare the two?
Well, for one, in high school, it's only a 3-month season, whereas in college, it's year-round. So, I mean, I know for me personally, it was just getting acclimated to that type of stress on my body for an entire year. Freshman year wasn't the greatest season for me. It was absolutely a learning experience, some injuries, bumps and bruises along the way, but overall, that's what I would say the hardest transition is just getting used to doing it year-round.
And as a distance runner, you especially have to really do it year-round. I know a lot of responsibility is on you, pretty much on your own, especially over summer, over breaks and everything.
Definitely, yeah. Amanda's totally right. It's the transition and getting used to training a lot more often than what you're used to in high school. The distance is longer in cross country for me in the fall, being a distance runner. And then track, I was never used to running year-round in high school. I played basketball in the winter. And then now, of course, we do indoor track seasons from December until May. And that's twice as long as what I'm used to. And I think the biggest thing is consistency in your training. You cannot fall off in your training. You have to be consistent over that long period of time, especially as a distance runner, to perform it at your best.
You guys are both upperclassmen. I'm sure you're starting to know your competitors a little bit. I know, Amanda, you probably know the hurdlers you're going up against in all the conference meets and everything. Carter, same with you, running on the cross-country course. You're with these guys, 25 minutes, a half hour at a time for all these races. How has that been, getting used to the competition to where you are now? Like I said, you probably are on a first-name basis with a lot of the people you're running against. How has that adjustment gone?
I was one of those people in high school where I always talk to my competitors. I'm very nervous.
That's surprising. I never would have seen you as being outgoing.
No, I get very nervous before my races. Doesn't matter what kind of race it is. So that's kind of one of the ways that I get around that, is just talking to anyone and whoever is willing to listen to me. So yeah.
Definitely. When I first came in as a freshman, it's funny, I was a little intimidated by all these upperclassmen distance runners from the conference that I hadn't known before. And you quickly get acclimated to it because you love to compete with people, and that's exactly what we do with the people in our conference. We thrive off each other's competition, and it makes the conference meets, it makes the atmosphere more electric, it makes it more fun, and I mean that's what we're here to do. That's pushing each other to the best.
You guys have both had a lot of success, both this season and in the last couple of seasons, all conference and cross country and indoor track and field. Amanda, the conference champion in the 60-meter indoor hurdles. How fulfilling was that? I guess first with Amanda getting on that podium this year, your first time, and now in the outdoor season, you're off to a very good start as well, climbing up in the record books. How have you been satisfied with your senior year so far?
I've been beyond satisfied. I mean, coming to a point to where I was worried and nervous about what senior year is going to be like for me, just being out all last season with an injury. So no matter what happens this year, I couldn't be happier. So thrilled.
And Carter, you had the success in the fall season with cross country, winning the conference championship, team going to nationals, and then again, as I said, indoors. You guys had a very strong finish as a distance contingent. How have you been pleased with your performance and your group's performance this year?
Definitely, I'm really happy with the way I've run so far. I'd never been on the podium, I'd never been on the podium individually in track until this past indoor season. So it was awesome to win the 3K and get up on that podium. It was something I knew I was always capable of, but to finally do that, I was really proud, and I'm super proud of the way the team is run. We've got a lot of young guys who really came together in cross country, and you could just see how big of an improvement it is for those guys running year round. It's really when you start to see those effects now when we have young guys running fast times.
And we've talked about it. I've talked to both of you about it off camera, passing in the office and everything, some of our interviews. How has the adjustment gone from going from indoor to outdoor? What is that adjustment like? I mean, I know to the outsider, they may see, they're still running the same events, or it's still the same distance. They're just running, it's the same thing. But I'm sure it's a little different, a little more involved than that. How do you make the adjustment, and what's it like going from the indoor to the outdoor season?
Indoor, you kind of have the air that's circulating in the building to breathe with. So, I mean, the adjustment from just getting your lung capacity to where it needs to be from indoor and outdoor, that's one of my main challenges. And then our indoor surface, we have one which is more than some of the other teams in our conference can say, but it's hard surface. It hurts us. So, being able to have the cushiony track in outdoor, I mean, it helps alleviate some of the bumps and bruises that we may accumulate during the season indoors. So, just in that respect. And also, 200 meters looks a lot smaller indoors than it does outdoors. So having that 400 tracks plays with your mind a little bit, but it definitely feels better being outdoor.
Well, Carter, you guys are outdoors all the time. I know that. I'm sure a lot of our viewers have seen you guys traversing the back roads of Meadville. But for you, is there any difference going from, I guess for you have to prepare for 3 seasons, first from cross country to indoor, and then from indoor to outdoor. Is it all pretty much the same, or do you do anything differently?
I'd say that the biggest change I noticed going from indoor to outdoor is the weather conditions, having to deal with the elements when you're running on outdoor track. There'll be a wind most times. It's very rare you get a day with nearly no wind. When you're inside, you don't have to worry about stuff like that. You just have to be mentally prepared to face the conditions and not be upset that if it's not a perfect day outside. And Lord knows we get plenty of not perfect days outside here.
I guess here in your both upperclassmen, excuse me, one of the bigger events coming up for this year. You have conference championships, but then you're right back here at Allegheny for the Gator Invitational on May 11th. That's always a big meet. It goes about 12 hours. There's always 30 to 35 teams. A lot of D1, D2, D3. What is it like getting on that stage? Amanda, this will be your final one. How does that? I'm sure time has flown, but how do you guys get amped up for that? Especially, you've said it's kind of a last chance meet, last chance before qualifying for nationals after the conference championship. I'm sure a lot goes into it, but how excited are you for it?
I'm excited to be able to have that last race on home turf the day before graduation. So it's exciting. It's always a good event. I think it's run very well. For us, we get to run our favorite events at that meet, and then we also get to help run it, whether we're on hurdle crew or setting up barriers for steeplechase. So it's fun to be involved like that, and it's very high paced, and it's a good stage, and it's always great to be in front of your fans, in front of your family. So I know for me, my family doesn't get to. They try to come to what they can, but being in Ohio, it gets pretty difficult. So having one at Allegheny it's really nice.
And Carter, same thing. I know the distance crew is also having an alumni mile. I heard rumors of that as well. So that kind of goes with the tradition of the whole program. But are you excited for the Gator invite this year? Another chance to possibly qualify for nationals.
Oh yeah, I'm beyond excited. It's great to end the year at home, like Amanda said, or hopefully not end the year, but have a meet towards the end of the year at home, a last chance qualifier meet. It's a great meet to run awesome times. There's plenty of fast people there running great times. So you get in the event you want to run, you hopefully PR, hit a good mark, hit possibly a national mark. And it's just something about everyone on the track team coming together. It's like a big holiday for all of us. The alumni come back for the mile. All of us are coming together to help put on the meet, and it's just an awesome day. It's an awesome event. The crowd's amazing.
And we talked about off screen a lot of the, big time celebrities that have come back to participate in it. Jeremy Scott, former Allegheny graduate, Olympian. Jen Suhr in the pole vault, another Olympian. There's been some big time throwers. Track and field a little bit more off the radar compared to a lot of the mainstream sports, quote unquote mainstream sports, like your basketballs, your footballs. Growing up, evolving into your runners, are there any runners that you kind of looked up to, who some of your role models have been? Because it really is hard to watch track and field on television. It's not like you're going to flip on ESPN and see a track meet. Is there someone or a couple runners that you each kind of look up to or followed?
Oh, absolutely. I know my mom always texts me, Diamond League meets are on this weekend, make sure you watch this channel. So I followed the sport ever since I started running. Allison Felix is one of my idols. I just think she's a phenomenal runner. 200, 400 girl. She's just so impressive and so strong. And Lolo Jones is obviously one of my favorite hurdlers. So I actually got to see her in person when she came to Pittsburgh.
Wow.
So
Carter?
I look up to Kadivas Robinson, 800 runner for the U.S. He ran in the Olympics, the London Olympics. The reason I look up to him is I was at a summer camp, a running camp a couple summers ago, and he came to speak at it. He was an awesome speaker. It was really motivating, and I'm not even an 800 runner, but after hearing that, I was definitely a Kadivas Robinson fan. I look up to him, watch his races.
Now, as a distance guy, won a conference championship in a 3K. There's a lot of different disciplines within the discipline that you could run. You talked about the 800, 1500, 3000 mile, the steeplechase, et cetera, et cetera. How have you narrowed down onto what you want to do? Is it tough to kind of determine it, or is there a plan going into the season as to what you're going to run?
Well, when you first come in your freshman year, you're doing a lot of different events. At least that's the way I treated it. I was going to do a lot of different events. I was going to find out what I liked the most, what I was best at. And it's kind of got narrowed down to the 5K and the 1500 and outdoor. And then it's nice and indoor. We have the 3K, which is a nice mix between the both. But outdoor, the 5K and the 1500, those are two completely different races. 1500 is almost like a mid-distance race. And the 5K is more of a distance event. So I just really end up liking both of those events. I think you get the best of both worlds. And I do well at the events compared to the steeple or anything else or sprints, so that's where I ended up.
Steeple has to be the most grueling race. I couldn't even watching those guys, the hurdles and the water. Yeah, I couldn't. Amanda, have you been hurling? Your whole track career? Have you been other events? I know you also in the indoor track and field campaign did the 200, some regular sprints. But have you always been a hurdler?
That's kind of where I found my home. My 8th grade year of middle school track, I was one of the inaugural team members, so that was fun. I also dabbled in jumps a little bit. So
Okay.
they're fun, but they're hard on the knees and hard on the body. So
I know I always like to ask our athletes, if there was another event you could do within track and field, would you do jumps?
yeah, I probably would. I like high jump. I'd still love to give pole vault a try, but that day will probably never come, unfortunately.
Carter, how about you?
Pole vault.
Pole vault?
No question.
Okay, all right, I could see that. I'll have to tell Coach Linzy. But speaking of Coach Linzy, this is his first year with the program. Also, Coach Ben Maurer, cross country, his first full-time season with the Allegheny staff. How has the adjustment gone to the new coaching staff? I know, Amanda, you've worked close with Justin. You've worked close with Ben. How has the adjustment gone so far here as we are going through the outdoor season?
I think both of them are great. I know Ben's not my immediate head coach, but it brings a lot of positive energy to the team. Coach Linzy's been phenomenal to work with. I mean, I know it was hard for me being a senior, having a new coach this last year, but I really think he was that fresh set of eyes that I needed at this point in my career to kind of push me over that plateau where I felt I was at in the past few seasons. So his program works. We've all seen steady improvements throughout the entirety of this season. So I'm really excited to see what he does with the younger members of this team and seeing how he can elevate their careers in the future.
Yeah, Coach Linzy and Coach Maurer, they weren't the coaches who recruited us and brought us in. So being involved in the process of helping select and meet the new coaches is something I was really proud to be a part of, because you're always nervous going into that, you not knowing what coach you're going to get after you picked a school with the coaching staff that you knew. But it couldn't have gone better. Coach Maurer's, a real great support system for the distance team. He ran at Allegheny previously, so it's always nice to pick his brain, get some of that wisdom. And Coach Linzy brings a lot of positive energy on the track squad. He lives and breathes track and field. He could tell you times of what everybody ran all the way back to high school. So just having two people that passionate about the sport and that knowledgeable about the sport, it makes a big difference, and I know I couldn't be happier with the coaching staff we have now.
And with that coaching change, you talked about how they weren't the ones who recruited you. That's tough anytime, because a lot of the reason, you both said one of the big reasons you came to Allegheny is for track and field. I can only imagine some of the, trepidation that you had going into this season with the new coach. Well, with that process, were you able to meet the candidates, or were you able to kind of have a say in it?
We were invited to come and sit in on the interviews for the new head coach position, but unfortunately I worked all summer, so I didn't have that luxury of being able to drive up. But the fact that we were invited to be a part of that process, and the fact that there were some of us on the team that were able to sit in on that, I do think it makes a difference. It makes us feel involved. It makes us feel like our voices have a say. So.
And Carter, you talked about how Coach Maurer was a runner here, a very good runner here, and a little bit about the tradition of the team. What did that mean to you, to carry on that tradition now? Both of you are having a very successful season, very successful career. What does it mean paving the way for the next set of Gator runners to come through? Because this is a track and field program that's had a lot of success the last 2-3 decades, and you see the alumni involvement, alumni engagement. How are you going to carry that on?
That's definitely what distinguishes the Allegheny track and the cross-country program as well for me. It's just the sense of tradition you have. You come here, there have been great distance teams back to the early 2000s. Coach Maurer on one of those teams coming back and coaching. It's just a great atmosphere, and I hope to pass it down. I'll always be involved in the program and come back. But it's just teaching the young guys that there's a certain way we approach our distance work here, and just our track and field work in general here, and that mentality, you pass that along to each new generation that comes in, and that's how the tradition has just thrived, and we're able to have such good competitive teams every year.
Amanda?
Repeat the question.
Oh, no, yeah. I just want to, a very tradition-deep program, with a lot of success the last couple of decades. How are you going to kind of carry on that tradition with, I guess, your underclassmen now and as an alum?
I think we're off to a great start in terms of recruiting. I know some of the freshmen that we have on the team now, I had the pleasure of hosting them, so it's great that I was able to kind of influence them and kind of show them how great the program is to kind of help carry on the tradition so they know what to look for. Hurdles, we've had a pretty strong contingent the past few years, so it's great to be considered a part of that, and it's great to kind of mentor some of the younger girls on the team to step up and fill those shoes. And this past year with our indoor conference meet, it's the most highest energy I've ever seen at any meet that we've been at. So I'm hoping that kind of sparks the passion for the others to want to see that every year.
And talking about that indoor championship, both teams very strong finish, both in the hundreds in terms of points. Has that been your favorite memory of the season so far? I guess looking back on it, Amanda, Carter, what have been your top memories of your career so far in Allegheny?
Oh, that was definitely the highlight of it so far. And even just traveling for meets on the weekends, it's always a lot of fun just being able to have fun but still be competitive and just goof off with your teammates. I mean, they're your family, so you don't get that many opportunities later in life to travel like that with a close group of friends, so it's always fun.
Yeah, I'd definitely say the indoor conference championship this year was an incredible experience. We didn't have the biggest team at the event, but we scored the most points for the athletes we have. We got third place. The team everyone was just ready to compete. The coaching staff had us ready to go. It's just a different mentality when you approach the conference races. These other races, especially in track, a lot of the meets we go to, it's people on the team trying to hit a fast mark for their event. They're trying to perform the best at their event. But when you're at a conference meet, it's that whole team mentality that every point matters, every event matters. You're racing for the team. You're racing for something more than yourself. So that, and then I'd have to say the conference championships that we've won the last 2 years in cross country were, something I really hang my hat on.
Now, speaking of the conference championships, the outdoors coming up, do you guys think you can be just that successful? How are you going to carry that on from the indoor to the outdoor?
I think we could be just as, if not more, successful. Again, we've been seeing consistent improvement with our sprinters and distance runners, so I'm looking forward to that. And as long as we bring that same energy, I wouldn't be surprised if we do better. I mean, to echo Carter's point, we didn't have that many people at the indoor conference week, but we were absolutely the loudest. We were cheering the most. I got a hug after every race, and we had people that are like, dang, I wish my teammates would cheer this loud for me when I got third place. So it's just a great thing to experience, and I think we can see that again.
And that's got to be a big selling point. Some recruits were there. If a recruit comes to your meet to see that kind of team bonding, because even in high school, some of those meets are so big, they go so long, you don't even know what's going on. But to be able to, to see that engagement, and I've seen it at the Gator Invite as well, to see that engagement between the teammates, that's got to be a big selling point.
Absolutely, yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
Well, Carter Smith, Amanda Balzer, we thank you for joining us here on Sports Close Up. Again, best wishes to the rest of the season and in your future. Good luck, and we'll be back with Coach Linzy in a moment. We're joined now by Allegheny head track and field coach Justin Linzy. Justin, thanks for joining us here on Sports Close Up. Coach Linzy, you're about 9 months into your job here at Allegheny, got hired over last summer. Looking back, I guess, tell us a little bit about where you're from, some of your athletic experience, coaching experience, and what brought you to Allegheny.
Sure. Grew up in Toledo, Ohio, born and raised in Toledo, Ohio. Went to college at Ohio Northern University, where I was a football and track athlete there. Very fortunate to be a two-sport athlete, and Ohio Northern was good to me. Really, coaching was something that I just had a passion for very early on. I was lucky enough to be able to volunteer for the middle school football team that I played for in the summer times when I was an athlete at Northern. So that's kind of how I found coaching. But started working at Ohio Northern pretty much right away out of college, and coached football for a year, and then missed track and field. So I got into track and field, and kind of off and running ever since. So been to Alabama and coached at Huntington College in Montgomery, Alabama. I was a graduate assistant at Muskingum University in Southeast Ohio, and got my first head coaching job at Olivet College in Michigan, and now here at Allegheny. So glad to be here.
Allegheny, I talked to the two student athletes. We had Carter and Amanda on. One of the big things they talked about that really drew them to Allegheny was the tradition, the history of the program. Is that kind of what drew you here as well? I guess what made you interested in the position here when it came open?
That was definitely part of things. When I was an athlete at Northern, I was fortunate to compete at the Gator Invitational. So I, distinctly remember Allegheny having some really, really good track and field programs in the past, even when I was an athlete. So that was my initial draw. Was, man, that's a good school, good program. But now having been here for a little while, you can feel and you can sense how important the history and tradition here it is here at Allegheny. So I've kind of learned that, if you will. But definitely something that young people should be proud of, that attend this institution, and that hopefully our recruits in the future can be proud of.
Yeah, talking about recruits, I know, especially at the Division III level, that's probably 80% of your job is getting these recruits to Allegheny. What are some of the things that you try to sell them on? I know a lot of coaches will talk about the academics, the history, etc. Is that kind of what you hammer home? What do you look for? What do you sell?
Sure. We try to sell family. That's a big push for me. The experience that the student athlete will get here is vital to them wanting to be here at Allegheny. I think young people are looking for a place where they can feel like they're at home even though they're away from home. But we essentially have a philosophy that's 3 pillars of our program. We want young people who are passionate about academics, passionate about athletics, and then also passionate about being a good community member. And through those things, I think that if we just be a good person, the athletic side of things will take care of itself, and we can be successful in the athletic realm. But if you treat people with kindness and respect, you're also going to be a good person in the classroom, which will also help you take care of business. So those are some of our core principles, and if we find young people who believe in that principle, then they're Gators, and they can come here and have an opportunity to be successful.
You have a fairly veteran team here for the most part this year. Some of them have been through 2-3 coaches. How has that adjustment gone? Was it tough at first? Because now it seems, especially with the success first in the fall of the cross-country team and then in the winter with both the indoor teams, that they kind of bought in pretty quickly and are off and running.
There's always a little bit of buy-in that has to happen initially. Not everybody was on board right away, and that's okay, but one of the things that I like to do is first you show them that you care about them, and then once they feel that from you, then you can push them hard to want to be successful, and then they see some results from the training aspect of things, and they start to gain confidence, and a confident athlete is a good athlete, So from that standpoint, they've done a great job adjusting to me as a coach and buying into me as a coach. And in turn, it's made it easy to transition into this role. So, it's give and take between the student athlete and the coach, of building that relationship first, and then, okay, let's push hard to be good track athletes. So
now, speaking of that coaching and the training aspect, I know you have a big background pretty much in sprints and jumps. You also have Coach Jack Rosenstein, who's been mentoring the throwers this year, and Coach Maurer, cross country and distance. Does that make things a lot easier for you, the head coach, to have assistants like that? I know, as a head coach in most other sports, you kind of want to have your toes in all of the water, if you will. But is it difficult to maintain with 3 coaches such a robust team event-wise?
It was interesting when I came into this situation. I really didn't know what I wanted to coach because I had experience coaching throwers, and I have a passion for the throws, and obviously I was director of cross country and track and field at Olivet, so I have a passion for distance running as well. So, but my assistants have done a wonderful job keeping their kids motivated, even though sometimes I might not ever see every single throw, or I might not get to every single distance practice. And then obviously I have my own groups of coach as well. So, that trust factor of, hey, go do your job and get them ready to go. And then they've done a wonderful job, just coaching those kids up and keeping them motivated throughout a long season, and they're performing well. So that makes it easy as well. So it's been a good transition. Staff's doing a great job, and we look forward to continuing that.
And talking about that performance, both third place at the NCAC Indoor Championships, exceeding some expectations, I think, of some outsiders. I know you were very confident heading into it. Does that kind of help the athletes buy into it, seeing that success as a team, right away with the new coaching staff?
I think so. One of the things that we talk about, and we really hammer this home in training, is that, people only really see the fast times. Or the big distances, or the far throws. Right. What they don't get a chance to see is the work that comes behind it. Right. So that's really the track meet is the reward for all of the hard work that goes into what they do on a weekly basis, and we train them really, really hard. We ask them to do some things that may be outside of their comfort zone, but as long as they buy into it, we tell them, hey, just be patient. It's going to work. And I think that's what we saw in indoor season this year was they bought in. The training came together. They wanted to be successful. They wanted to work hard, and thus they got those good performances. So it's all about them. It's not necessarily about us.
Yeah. Well, heading into the outdoor season now, preparing for conference championships, I'm sure. I asked the athletes this, and I guess I'll ask you as well. How was the adjustment from indoor to outdoor? I'm sure, the facilities different, the surface is different. What are some of the big changes that you have to make, and I guess that you look for your athletes to make?
Well, in outdoor season, everybody's a little bit happier because you get a chance to go outside. You practice indoors and you run indoors for a while, and then you kind of get bogged down, you kind of get claustrophobic. So a chance for them to go outside, they enjoy that side of things. The challenges that we face is just obviously being in the Midwest is just the weather, and having an opportunity to run some fast times underneath some good weather as opposed to being 30 degrees outside.
Right.
So that's the biggest adjustment. But again, we just have to be tough and grin and bear it. And when we have good opportunities like this past weekend at Mount Union where we have good weather, we got to take advantage of it and make sure that we do what we need to do to be successful and perform well.
Talking about the outdoor season, we talked about a little bit earlier. We have the Gator Invite coming up May 11th at Allegheny College. Always brings a real big crowd. Always brings a lot of teams. Kind of as a last chance meet. The last hurrah for some of your seniors. What goes into that event, and what can some of the viewers at home expect?
Yeah, obviously in the past it's been one of the best invitationals in the Midwest as far as a last chance opportunity to qualify for the national championships. For Division II and Division III. So we'll see a plethora of folks who will come to the track meet and have an opportunity to compete well. The weather's always nice, so that's a good thing. And we have, we're very lucky from an administrative standpoint to have a lot of people in place who understand the sport of track and field and that, want to be a part of the Gator Invitational. So that's exciting as well. Hopefully we get some great performances. We've had some professional athletes come to that meet in the past. Jen Sir came down and vaulted for us last year. So we've had some really good athletes come and participate in the Gator Invite. We anticipate it to be a great event again and to get some great performances. And hopefully, some of our athletes can perform well and get a chance to get on the national scene. So.
Now moving forward, we had the success this year cross country, indoor season, outdoors off to a great start. What are some of your goals, I guess, a little bit more of a longer range for the program? It's a pretty strong conference, track and field wide, particularly with your Wabashes, your Ohio Wesleyans. What will it take to kind of get to that level? What do you look for here, come next year, come 3 years, come 5 years from now?
Well, recruiting's a big deal. We have to get young, talented people who are also high academic students that want to have a great experience, and they also have to buy into what it is here at Allegheny College. We have to continue to create that family atmosphere and care about our student athletes and be good people. And I believe that if we just do those things, we will be a championship atmosphere program. And that's what you need first, is you just need a championship atmosphere. And then, some years, when we perform well, we have an opportunity to hoist up the trophy. The goal is always to win a championship. And that's going to be our goal from day one. But first and foremost, we got to do it with good people. And I think with those things in place, we'll definitely have an opportunity to do that in the future, and that's definitely the goal. Really long term, a national championship. We can't be afraid to say those things, and because that's what we want to accomplish here. It'd be great to have a large NCAA trophy at some point. There's been some cross-country teams that have trophied in the past, and I don't see a reason why we can't do those types of things in track and field. So.
Talking about the kind of people you're looking to attract, mention the academics and the character. A lot of coaches might say that it's kind of a turnoff for some student athletes to see how rigorous it is here, to see some of the requirements. But I'm sure you could also use that as a positive. How has it been trying to attract the high caliber academic kids and also with the athletic talent?
I don't see it as a challenge. From my standpoint, I always view student athletes as some of our best students. Here at Allegheny College, our student athletes have a higher GPA than the normal student body population. So, for me, attracting good students, that won't be an issue for us. That's the kind of kid that we look for. And again, what I find is that good student athletes, good athletes are also good students. So attracting those types of kids, I don't think should be an issue for us. We have to work hard to find any type of good athlete. So recruiting is hard work. So that's what we have to do.
And I'm sure it's also kind of easy to sell some of these athletes on, the outcomes after Allegheny College. The doctors, the lawyers, the teachers, and all that. There's been a lot of success here with student athletes at Allegheny.
Sure, right. Athletics isn't everything, right? You come to Allegheny College not just for track and field. You come here to grow as a person, expand your mind, think a little bit outside the box, and become a well-rounded individual. And that's what we want. Those are the types of people we want to put into the community. One of the things that I take pride in is that, I want our student athletes that graduate out of our program to be able to, go to their families and spread the good news about Allegheny College and how wonderful an experience they had here. If we're doing those types of things, then I know we did our job correctly as a coaching staff and as an administration, making sure that young people have a great experience. So that's really sticks to the core values and the philosophy of the program.
I guess going back, talk a little bit more about you, Coach Linzy. You talked about being an athlete, football and track and field at Ohio Northern. What events did you take part in? And I guess what position were you for the football team?
I played wide out for the football team there at Ohio Northern, and as you can see, I'm kind of uncomfortable right now because I don't necessarily like talking about myself. I was a short sprinter, horizontal jumper, long and triple jump in the 100 and 200 4x1 relays. I had a great time. I really enjoyed myself. Ohio Northern was really good to me. I had great coaches. I had great teammates. And for me, that's why I try to recreate that experience I had in college of, going to the national championships and having an opportunity to be an all-conference athlete and understanding what it takes to be successful and putting in that work ethic. So those are all values that I try to instill in my athletes. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, it has to be pretty helpful and valuable, the fact that your student athletes saw that you were a Division III athlete, you had success in the classroom and on the track and field, so it can be done. You're a very good example of that.
I like to think so, but it's just about having an experience that, for me, I get to go home and talk to my family about, the things that I did while I was in college. And when they ask me questions, it's exciting, to talk about those things. And hopefully one day when I'm a husband, when I'm a father, I can speak to my children about some of the things that I've experienced as an athlete at the Division III level. Being a Division III athlete to me is really the bee's knees of college athletics, because it's not just about going and getting a scholarship and being paid to play and those types of things. You do it because you love the sport, and you do it because you have a passion for academics and education. So for me, it was easy to say I'm a guy. That's who I want to be, and that's what I want to sell.
And a lot of students, not just the academics, not just the athletics, but a lot of extracurriculars as well. I know you could say the newspaper or
yes.
The school musical, et cetera, et cetera. Allegheny celebrated Division III week the first week of April, and that was kind of what they were pushing, what the Student Athlete Advisory Committee was pushing. You can have high level academics, high level athletics, and you can do, you can actually be a real student. And
sure.
I always think it's remarkable to see some of the times or some of the performances that Allegheny athletes have. They are just Division III athletes. Some of the top performances in the nation across the athletic department. Whereas, at the Division I level, that's all the kids do. They're there on scholarship. They're there to play sports, maybe go to class here and there, and they achieve their marks. But to see the success that Division III athletes have at Allegheny, and really even across our conference, a very strong conference as well. That's really special, and I think that's what makes the Allegheny athletes stand out.
I agree 100%, and one of the things that we also have to keep in mind is just because you're a Division III athlete doesn't mean that you can't compete at a very high level.
Right.
Jeremy Scott was an Olympian who went to Allegheny College and actually being inducted to the Division III Hall of Fame, this summer in Geneva at the National Championships. So you can definitely compete at a very high level coming from Division III. We also tell our recruits that, just if you come to college and the only thing that you do is track and field and cross country in class, then you really missed the boat on college, right? One of the things that is great about this atmosphere is that you can do some other things. If you have an interest in, in history, there's probably a history club here for you. If you love chess, you can probably be on a chess club team.
Mm-hmm.
There's other things going on besides just athletics and academics here. This is your opportunity to be a holistic person. So that's really what's important about this process.
And coming from a Division III level yourself, I know you can speak for all of that firsthand. Do you think that makes it a little easier to coach at this level as opposed to, say, you were a D1 athlete or a D2 athlete and you had to come down to Division III? Do you think, does it make your job a little easier going through that, being through that, seeing what these kids go through?
It doesn't necessarily easier. It just makes it for a fun, exciting experience. The coaching profession to me is the best profession in the world. You get to impact young people in a positive way and see them reach their goals. And when they do achieve their goals, I'm a rah-rah guy. I get excited. When I see that fast time, I get excited. Subsequently, when a kid like Noel Lemons comes in and tells me, hey, I've been accepted into medical school, that's also just as exciting. So that's the great part about coaching, is that they get excited about a lot of different things. And because of those successes, those accomplishments, I get an opportunity to be a part of that process, and that's what's special for me.
My colleague Mike Farello can't be with us today, but he likes to always say how playing or taking part in athletics as a child, as a student, really molds you for the future. And seeing that this multitasking, if you will, so many different activities available for the Division III athlete. How do you think that will help prepare these student athletes years now for the future?
Sure. Not everything's easy, right? I mean, you're going to experience some adversity here. You're going to experience some different things. What I think that we want to do is prepare people for going to the world and have an opportunity to just be successful and be a good person, and impact their communities. And I think the fabric of Division III is that experience, is creating that for them. Not to say that they're going to be prepared for everything, but they'll be prepared for a lot of things and a lot of adversity that may come up just in general life. I get emails all the time from young people as coach. Remember that one time where you told me I got to be tough and I got to battle through some things? Well, guess what? I'm in a point in my life where I got to battle through some things, and I reflected back on that moment where I didn't do well on the test, but that helped me get through, and you helped me get through. So thank you for that. And those types of things. That's the special part about it.
Well, Coach Linzy, it sounds like you really want to have an impact on your student athletes. You've made your mark so far here at Allegheny, your first year in, and I wish you the best of luck this year and moving forward. And I thank you for joining us here on Sports Close-Up.
Thanks, Jim. I appreciate it.
You're watching Sports Close-Up on Armstrong Cable. We thank you for tuning in today as we talk to the Allegheny Track and Field program. For Mike Farello, who cannot be with us today, I'm Jim Berger. We'll talk to you soon.